I'm going to open up with this. The Black Myth Wukong PS5 code controversy. It's interesting how the media has been radio silence with this, because we saw what happened with specifically, and I'm glad you made mention of this because I actually forgot about this, Suicide Squad. Now, Suicide Squad wasn't reviewed very well. The game wasn't what a lot of Rocksteady fans wanted. We wanted an Arkham level type of game. But what we got is a looter shooter. And for the amount of hours I put into it, and I spent quite a bit of hours in playing that game, I enjoyed myself. Now, was the greatest game? No. Was the worst game I've ever played? Absolutely not. With all of that said, though, Black Myth Wukong comes out, I believe it's tomorrow. And we have got confirmation that game codes, review codes for Black Myth Wukong for the PlayStation 5 specifically are not going to be available till after the game's release. Now, again, almost 10 out of 10 times you ask anybody in the community, people are waving the red flags. We've heard some issues with PCs, the only one that's been reviewed on. And we've seen some things where people are playing the game. Game looks great. It is what I was hoping it wasn't, and that was a boss rush game where apparently there's like 88, I believe there's 88 or 86 bosses. There's one very, very hidden, very magical boss that is like the creme de la creme, if you will, that people are going to have to find. We'll see how that turns out in regards to it. I've already said that when it releases on Xbox, I'm going to buy it. I'm not a boss rush kind of a guy, but I do love the Monkey King. I do love that lore. So I'm going to buy it. But hopefully by the time it does come to Xbox, all of the issues, at least that are going on PC and potentially on the PlayStation 5, will have been solved, and it's going to release in a much better state. Fuzzy, let's get into this because, we were having a conversation in the green room. And look, this isn't piling on. This isn't hoping that the game fails or that the game is bad on PS5 because it's not on Xbox. I saw a lot of rhetoric with that, especially from gaming journalism, where they didn't specifically call out, at least from what I saw, call out the Xbox community as wanting this game to fail because it's not available today, or when the game it releases, it's going to come at a later date. Where there was accusations of, I can't believe this community, all they want to do is for games to fail. And I'm going to be honest with you. I took some serious offense to that because I've never, and I don't think many of the circles that we roll in ever asked for a game to fail because it wasn't on a particular platform. It's going to be on Xbox. It's just going to be on Xbox at a later date. Same way Baldur's Gate was. Now, I also saw, and again, no names here because again, we don't do the piling on this channel, where, of course, once again, the Series X is being blamed. Well, you see, if they weren't developing for that damn Series X and Series S, we would have if the potato wasn't involved, we'd have a perfect game on PS5. I mean, if that's true, and it's not, look what happened with Baldur's Gate 3. Because of the potato, they found a way to make the PC, Series X, and PS5 versions better. And that's because the development team took the time to learn the back-end tools, and everyone wind up winning for that. Let's get into the no-code situation, because I know, like I said, for me, it's instant red flag. And I know that I've seen a lot of charts out there where in certain instances, the game is supposed to be running at 60 and it's dropping below 30. This is a boss rush mode, so you're going to be mostly fighting these monstrous-sized bosses. Obviously, if there's any slowdown, it's going to ruin the experience for sure. Some of the stills that I saw came out of the way of IGN China, where they were showing some of the stats where it was dropping. Let's get into this. Should PlayStation 5 purchasers be concerned that this actually potentially could be a bit of a mess upon release?
I think there is some reason for them to be somewhat concerned. Although I want to get a little slanderous here first. Destin Legary, I love some of your content, but where are you on this? Like, you were one of the main people out there with your chest out talking about Suicide Squad not having a release code and all this stuff, and how that was bad, and it was worrisome, and you were concerned. Where is that concern right now, Mister? No, but in all seriousness,
No,
it's
but you know what? Listen, we love Destin, right? And a
yeah.
lot of people don't, and that's fine if you don't. I like his content. I'm a subscriber to his content, and I watch his stuff.
Same.
Not just singling Destin out, but Destin is one of the bigger ones, right? He's one of the more
Yeah,
prominent journalists that usually will do a video and will get out there and be like, "Hey, listen, this isn't right. What's going on?" And we haven't
exactly.
seen that from the press, which is a little surprising.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, if this was a reverse situation where it was on Xbox but not on PlayStation, there would be, the pitchforks out about the concern of the console version. We see some bugs on PC, but how does it play on console? And we're getting some word that it's running at 720 and it has some drops below the 60 mark, which sounds like it's not fully optimized. So I'm not going to hate on that release, but it does explain why there possibly aren't codes out there. Like, there were codes for PC way earlier, but keep in mind this was a game kind of built around being on PC using UE5, so it's to be expected. The console ports are always going to be, second fiddle in that regard, even though, yes, in the console space, the PlayStation is the, market leader. But when it comes to PC stuff, especially a game designed for PC, that takes precedence first. And even with it being on PC, the beast machines are still going to encounter some bugs. Less than beast machines are going to encounter some issues, or some, things they may have to turn down to get this experience to remain above 60 and stuff like that. But all in all, it's funny that no one's really pointing this out. Maybe they're just happy with it being on PC, and could care less if it's on PS5, especially looking at some of the early trailers when you compare the PC version versus the PS5 version. I could see why some people aren't, maybe making as much noise, but all in all, they still should, just for the fact that there's going to be a lot of people on console, or a lot of people that want to play this game, that a PC might be out of their reach, or at least one that can run this comfortably might be out of their reach. The PC that they have can probably do it, but then they're going to have to turn all the visuals down. And I don't think a lot of the players that are looking forward to this game want to do quite that just yet. But yeah, I saw everybody raise the red flags for Suicide Squad. We saw the fallout after Cyberpunk, when no one really saw the, I guess, Gen 8, I guess that was, for the Xbox One as well as the PS4 versions of the game. And knowing that they had some struggles, even getting close to 30 frames. So it would be nice to see, some of these topics brought up by the mainstream gaming media and stuff along those lines. But yeah, they're probably just taking their PC codes and enjoying life. And then, when it comes to PS5, they'll be like, "Oh, just play it on PC," or something along those lines, or just, let everybody know, "Hey, this is a pretty, hefty game. There's a lot of, graphical intensity on this game, so, be thankful that it even came to console," kind of thing. But I just look forward to when it comes to Xbox, because I figure by that point the bug fixes will be in place. All the beta testing that the PlayStation fan base has done will be completed. But I honestly don't remember hearing anybody saying, "I hope this game fails because it's coming to PS5 first." Like, if anything, kudos to them being able to get, whatever devs that they were able to help them with over there to help with the optimization of this game and stuff. I wish Microsoft would do a little bit more of that, let's say. But aside from that, I can definitely wait for it to come to Xbox, and then, have a better experience where the bugs are already fixed, the visuals are already optimized, and have a much smoother experience. So, and maybe even see a sale price by that point. So we'll see, but still looking forward to it nonetheless.
Listen, the game looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Since it was originally previewed many years ago, I was on the hill where I thought Xbox should, like, reach out to this team and get that into Xbox Game Pass, right? Like it's one of those titles that a lot of Xbox players will eventually play. Again, whether it's in Game Pass or not, if it's not, fine, no problem. I'll buy it. Again, I'm normally not a boss rush kind of a player. I changed my tune because I really fell in love with Elden Ring and the world. Some of the reviews that I read where the game is gorgeous, but the world itself is very empty. I don't know if that's something that they're going to address at some point with an update. But again, this is the reviews. They're out there, folks. It's sitting in like the low 80s, which is a great score. It's a small team out of China. And look, the game looks great. But again, whether it looks good on PC or it doesn't, the issue at hand that no one really wants to address is the fact that there are no actual review codes for the PlayStation 5, which is the only other place you can play it outside of PC. And I've even seen some reviews like making excuses for, well, you know, the game does have some issues, but you know, this, that, and the third. Listen, you got to score the game for what it is. This Earth Defense Force, when it comes to Sony stuff, is just bonkers to me. But I will say that we'll know. I would imagine there's going to be very prominent reviewers out there like ACG and you know, like many others that you watch that are going to play it on PS5 and they're going to give us the lowdown, whether the game is bad, good, or otherwise. Again, it's just one of those very suspicious situations where, and again, I know this is not an Xbox versus PlayStation comment, folks. This is a general comment that I'm going to make here, and I do want to continue to talk about it because, regardless of whether or not it's on Switch, whether it's on PC, whether it's on PS5 or Xbox, when a review code is not given to one of its main platforms, and PC is the only one that gets the code, there is room for concern. This isn't an us versus them thing, Fuzzy. This is, let's be fair. How many times have we seen before where doesn't matter what platform, if a particular game does not get a code for a particular platform, there's usually an issue at hand that suggests that there's a problem. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, like we've seen this with so many other games where if you wait until like release date to do a review code, I would say, and I'm trying to think of an exception to the rule because maybe what was that? Alan Wake 2. I don't know if they did that same deal for console where they waited until like release date, but they were probably one of the few that did that and didn't have like major bugs or something like that at launch. A lot of other ones that do, it's typically like the game is broken to the point where it's like, oh wait, just wait for the day one patch, and the day one patch comes and it still got issues after the fact type of thing. But like I look at on the flip side of things, the reviews that came in for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And because EA told the reviewers, hey, we got a patch coming out, and that patch didn't fix anything, they gave it the benefit of the doubt. And I think a lot of that was kind of like Star Wars blindness. It's like, oh, I love the IP so much that, you know, I see the potential in this game. I've enjoyed the bit I've played until, you know, the game crashed or, you know, I went invisible through a wall type of thing. But I think because people had blinders on in that regard, they were willing to accept the excuse about a day one patch being a fix, and then the day 3 patch and the day 30 patch still didn't fix everything. And they gave it these high scores, 9s and 10s. Now there were some high scores, there were some really low scores. It wound up kind of meeting in the middle in the 80s, which is still a great score for a game these days. But it just feels like at some point the reviewers should take into account what the game is at the current moment. And if you can't review it on the PS5, you know, when the PC, you know, review codes were out like at least a week prior type of thing, that's the red flag where it's kind of like, hey, this review is going to come in hot and we're gonna, because it's coming in hot, we're gonna look at every freaking bug and everything under the sun of why these review codes didn't come out until the day of launch. It's like, at least do that justice for the gaming community to kind of put that out there as far as what's wrong with the game, whether it's optimization stuff, whether it's bugs, whether it's glitches or exploits, whatever the case may be. They definitely, the reviewers for at least the PS5 and I guess eventually down the road for the Xbox Series consoles, look at everything, give it an honest review based on the condition the game is released in, and then make a side note. Hey, the devs, after we brought this to their attention that you fall through the map in several spots or whatever the case may be, that they're going to work on the fix, and hopefully within the next 30, 60 or 90 days they have some sort of patch to kind of resolve all those issues. But don't just, I wouldn't say punish it just strictly on its downfalls, but at least take that into consideration and don't just ignore it based on them saying that they're going to fix it. Have it where I wish reviewers could revisit some of their reviews when the game has been patched, much like what they did for, or what they didn't do for things like Redfall or even Grounded. Like that Grounded has to be one of the first and few games that I've seen them review and preview, and they should have there should be revisits to those reviews when it went to the 1.0 release. So, but I think maybe IGN revisited it, but they didn't adjust any of the scoring. It was just like, oh, this is what comes with the day or the 1.0 release, but they didn't rate it as a separate game or update the rating on it and stuff. But yeah, the reviewers need to be held accountable and hold these devs accountable when things seem suspicious, like these day of release review codes for console.